keep an update because, as you can see, it can.
So this is the down or the upside now?
This is the downside waiting room.
Downside waiting room. It's a lovely little canopied building. Oh, hello.
Beautiful, isn't it?
That's as it was.
Yes.
So that picture there, that's that end of the station we're looking
That's
towards.
right, that's on the Worcester side.
Right, so that's coming, that signal there is coming back
Yeah.
into the station.
Yeah,
That's
top left signal.
yes.
It was the up advanced starter with the shunter head underneath.
Where we've just been.
Section. No, it's going the other way.
Oh, right. That's where we've just been there.
That's it. Yeah.
Ah, yes, you can see now. Yes, it is quite a compact little station, really.
Mm. This is the line here. So you came out of Worcester to Bransford Road Junction, just out of Worcester, and then it came across. You had stations at Lee Court, Knightwick, Suckley, Bromyard, which was about the halfway point.
Yes.
Then Rowden Mill, Fencote, Steensbridge, and then into Leominster, which is on the northwest.
Right.
And there was only 3 passing places. That was at Suckley, Bromyard, and Fencote. And Fencote was the highest point of the line.
The line. And it's the signal diagram.
Yeah, that's the diagram prior to the one that's there now.
Yeah.
And this was Leominster South End box, which is now today just Leominster box.
Yes.
There was another Leominster station box over the platforms. That was a London North Western box.
Oh.
So it was a joint line.
Yes.
That closed, and it was a massive layout, big yard and everything. That closed. Another box at the crossing and the junction there to go off to Knighton. And all that you're left with now is the old South End box. And when it was open, the branch was open, South End box didn't work the branch. You worked from here directly to the station box, and the branch came round the back of the yard in, and it was a 4 platform.
Good old Wickham P-Way inspection trolley.
There's your beams for tipping him off.
So, for those who've never seen this before, obviously the P-Way trolley weighs about a ton and a half. You can't easily get it off the track. So, you'll notice just underneath there, there's a mount. And when you get to here on the track, you have the turntable. You pull over that, put your foot down, which pushes down on the turntable and lifts the P-Way trolley up. Then you have these beams here, which go across to the rails. So then once you've got your jack down and lifted your trolley up, you can spin 90 degrees the trolley towards the store, and you can wheel it off the track and take your beams back off. That stays here permanently mounted in the 4-foot. What about gangers trolleys? Gangers key instruments.
I'll show you a gangers
Excellent.
very shortly.
Because obviously what we have to mention is, of course, not all these trolleys came to opposite signal boxes. Some of them have been miles up the track, wherever the P-Way were. So obviously there had to be a system on single lines of getting that token back to the box, and we'll explain the gangers system in a minute. So it's 1 in 50 downhill.
Yeah,
both
ways.
Both ways.
Both ways, and 1 in 300 through the platform.
And you just explained about the slotted joint that used to be on the hand point here. So the hand points technically act as a catch point just up to the bus stops that were there. Both ways?
Both ways.
Both ways. Yeah. So if they weren't pulled, it act as a catch point to stop the runaways.
This is the line. The advanced starter there, obviously something that got rotten or whatever,
Yeah.
and they brought the arm back and put it on this post, and you can see there's some notches there.
Oh yes.
And it was one of those, not a centre pivot, but where the spectacles are on the left-hand side.
Yes.
And that was on there for many years, and they replicated that because obviously they put everything back. There was no signals here.
I've seen a picture of that from the top of the bridge, yes.
That's it. And it's only a few years ago we took that off and we got this post from Craven Arms.
Right.
And put it back there.
Yes, because I remember that's still on Google Maps, that is, on Google Earth, sorry.
Right, yep.
Miles from Paddington? That's right, so that's the detector there. You can see the square box on the back.
Yeah.
And as John just mentioned, if you see at the Crew Heritage Centre, you see they're just like blades that go up and down and make contacts, and that's how that works. Traditional Great Western. So the arms repeated and the pyrometer in the lamp as well repeated. Back to the cupboard over here.
The guard would have to pin the brakes down on goods trains.
Any idea what the longest freight trains that used to run through here were just local stopping traffic?
Yeah, mainly local pickup goods. I don't think there was really much through freight.
That's a lovely tapered wooden post, that. Was it traditional for the Great Western to have all their balance and weight arms at the very, very bottom?
Generally, yes. The taper, it's a 1 inch in every 5 feet.
It drops down, right, 1 inch in every 5.
6 inches at the top.
Now, two things we've noticed, and again, for people who don't know, the T and the S. So the T is for the telegraph department, not the telecoms, telegraph department, and the S is for the signalling department. So if there was a fault, signalman would hang the S outside if it was a signalling fault, or T for the telegraph department, and then the crews, as they walk in along the line doing the maintenance, would spot that they've got their plate outside and go up and see the signalman and get the fault fixed. John was just pointing out that because local builders were used here, even though it's to a standard Reading design, if you notice the corners done slightly unusually, and also where you have the sill of the window there, that's been replicated across on the side in the brick, which is unusual.
Another unusual thing, he did the whole of the back in blue.
Oh, it's blue brick as well.
And still kept the decorative feature on the rear.
Wonder why? Because the blue bricks actually cost more than the traditional, didn't they?
Yeah, very, very odd.
Standard Great Western treads. They never stamped them GWR, did they?
No. Whether they are underneath, possibly.
In the casting, yes.
Yeah.
4 corner screws. So upstairs we go.
There's your standard.
Standard door key for the Great Western.
Yeah. And your notice for. And note, they always did it with the Z.
Z, not an S.
You see the cast iron
Tread plates.
tread plate? Now, this is a hangover from the previous style of signal clocks, where they never had an outside door. There was only ever
an internal
door, and it was like a porch area.
Yes.
And obviously, this was done to catch the rain.
Keep it long lasting. Did they ever have, because I know it's painted, but did they ever have a policy of black leading it to keep it?
Probably, I don't know, but quite likely. There's no interior door in this one.
Yes.
Generally, they would put an interior door. You've got a storeroom.
Little storeroom behind the door.
Which in latter years would have been converted to
a toilet. Yes. Ooh, inside. So it's still quite spacious. So, traditionally laid out as a normal signal box, obviously. We're a single line both ways. So you'd have your instrument, the token going to the next box, which would have been...
was Lempster.
Lempster that way. And then that way...
To Bromyard.
How far is Bromyard?
About 5 miles.
So it's not too far, a big section really. 10-minute section.
Yeah, something like that.
Lever frame. Where did you get the... Is it original?
No, it's not the original. There was a stud frame in here, because this was 1890, whenever it was.
Yes.
And it was a stud frame, Great Western. And what's been replaced in here is a converted stud. So all the castings downstairs holding it all up, it's all of a stud frame.
Yes.
But it was converted to vertical tappet 5-bar lock-in. It dates from 1905, this frame, and was at Gerrard's Cross on the Chiltern line. It was 33 levers there, so this 23 lever, which is what this box was originally, has been made up from the best of the 33 from Gerrard's Cross.
Who did the locking?
And it's been relocked to suit this layout, and that was done as a training exercise for the Western Region locking fitters from Exeter.
That's very good, that is very good.
Trevor.
Oh, Trevor Upton, yes.
Trevor and his boys did it.
Yes, yes. Mental Western region, it has to be Trevor. So we have
all new brass leads to match.
brass leads
Yeah.
for signalling. So obviously, as layout-wise, for those who are aware, everything to the left should be to the left, everything to the right should be to the right. Distance on the outsides in this case. And then you have your rack of signals. And the points around the station area are obviously in the middle. Detonated places? No detonated places.
No.
Yes, there isn't. That's a bit. Mind you, yes, it's a control signal box, so you wouldn't need.
Yeah.
There's no through running as such, is it?
That's right. It's a passing loop. Most things will stop here.
So looking again at our plan up there, we have, as I said, we have our signal. So as you can appreciate, lever 2 up there, our signal coming in. Lever correspondence off to the left there, and everything 22s and 23s, which are down that end of the frame and that end of the station layout. So is the layout replicated as it was originally?
That's how the layout was here, yes.
Is that up to the closure itself?
More or less. The only difference is number 5 signal there was on the post with 22.
Yes.
And was originally here for a while when preserved. Now that 5's been moved down to its own signal, it's been put back and taken off 22, and the diagram represents that.
So we can see, as we mentioned before, if you look at the gradient there, you can just see the gradient dropping to 1 in 50, both ends of the station, so that's quite a steep drop off. So as we mentioned, the active catch points at the other end, that's the into the yard, etc. Where our carriage we looked at before was. And again, if we notice on this plan, for those who know, even though it doesn't show the line of the frame, you notice the signalman's not permanently shown. So I presume did this box shut out at night?
Yes, the line was closed at night. It was just a 2-shift box.
So that's shown on there as well, that's replicated.
I think in this style of diagram, which is an earlier style to the one we just looked at, that's how they showed the boxes. They didn't at that stage put the line and dot in.
Yes.
At some point in the future that came along.
Is it an old tradition on these style diagrams to show the layout of the box?
I've not seen that before.
I was going to say it's the first time I've seen that as well. 25 foot by 12. So traditional ground signal on the Western diagram. And I've mentioned all the signals you can see shown in their traditional positions. One thing I do notice, you kind of notice this from the old to the new diagrams, is it doesn't say the A's and B's.
No.
Because
no.
A's always taken as being nearest the box end.
That's it, yeah. I don't think they worried about it so much in those days.
In the middle of nowhere, yeah.
Fucking desk. That's
It's very long. It's a good 3 or 4 feet long.
Interestingly, although they've got the token instruments here,
yes.
one for each of the old sections, they never actually had key token work in here at this end of the line.
Yeah.
This end closed in 52. Worcester to Bromyard stayed open until 64.
Right.
This end, whilst Worcester Bromyard got key tokens eventually, this end only ever had large staff instruments, the full-size staff instruments, of which there is an example of one of the full-size staffs, and you'll see it says Lempster.
The Fencote.
Fencote.
Yes. So it's labelled with the section to which it applies. And also for those who aren't aware, if you look at the brass rings on this, these can be set at different intervals so they only fit the right machine. And unlike the token keys, which fit in the machine, these go right through the staff machine and come out the back end. And of course, on the end,
any intermediate ground frames.
Intermediate ground frame it releases.
That's right. There was a ground frame down at Steens Bridge that this would have worked. And similarly, going the other way, there was a ground frame at Rowden Mill between here and Bromyard, so that staff would have had a key on the end of it. The early style, later ones had a taller pedestal with a windy handle, but this is a wheel arrangement. And when we go downstairs, you'll see how that works.
And also, one thing to notice, of course, the workman's badges.
This is the sort that go in the automatic exchanger.
Right, so like a Manson tablet.
Yeah, so that would be the one that would be held in the
post.
In the post, that's right.
That it'd be an experience to see that actually a train going at line speed catching them.
Catching that, the token still goes in there.
Yes. So for those who aren't aware, once you take the token out, what you do, it goes in this little gap here. There's a little spring-loaded handle So you pull the spring back and the token sits tightly in there. You make sure that spring's back in so it can't come out. So that's the automatic one for catching on the train in the post there. And those are the manual ones for signalman handing over to the driver at a slower speed.
He's over, so we need to put 14 back. Lock the points up. And then we can come in that side of the station. And you see the indicator has gone to off.
Let's have a look.
I'll work
Oh,
that
yes,
in.
yes.
There we go.
Lovely.
There we go. We pull the points at this end. And we can pull off right through.
Finally
The
distance.
distance. And that's gone to off as well. We can come the other way. Facing point lock, don't forget that. And blue one's always catch. Number 3 out the window there.
Oh yes, yes.
4 on the end of the platform. And number 5 in advance going way down the hill. And then the distance.
John was just letting us know that with this design of frame, of course, the tread plates aren't fixed down. So you can get the tread plates up to get behind levers and oil and grease and maintain bits and pieces down there.
An original phone card for the line.
So Worcester, Station Inspector, Exchange Control, Worcester Foregate Parcels Office, Bransford Road Junction Box, the hut number 1. Yes, so these are the gangers' huts that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Blimey, there was a lot of them, weren't there? Hut number 10, Bromyard Box, and then there's another load of huts as well. 19, 20 and 21 before you even get to Leominster.
So yeah, the whole line, the 21 huts.
Right. So, type of frame.
Great Western stud frame, but converted to 5-bar vertical tappet locking. So you can see these will be original stud castings, the standards, and the pivot,
Yeah.
which is all one piece, all cast as one. And then you've got these adjustable connectors
Yes.
to the cam blades for the 5-bar locking. Because the stud locking would have been on a curve.
On a
at this
curve
sort of
out of
height.
it, yes.
So there's a new angle put in to carry the cam plates.
And this transfers the horizontal to vertical movement
That's right, the beginning and end of the lever
of
movement.
each stroke. Yes.
Yeah.
So releasing the locking function. And that then drives down to the dogs and tappets, which are vertical. So obviously we have solid locks and we have the hollower locks, which allow you to put multiple rows off the bars through. You can just see the notches there for them. And this one's a good example here. See, there's 3-bar in there. So your 3-bar axe.
Two, you can have 2 on the back,
2 on the back,
and 3
behind.
on the front.
So you can probably just make out there. Let's pick a better one there. So you've got your 2 gaps behind the tappet, and then with that in, you've got 3 in the front as well. So 5 bars altogether.
But it's fairly straightforward. There's no conditional locking on the
Yes.
layout at all. It's all dead locking. Very straightforward.
I like the fact that that has a especially bent curved
Yes.
tappet down to fit where the frame is.
Yes.
Is that? Yes, it's well.
It's
one of
because
the
you've got
mounts.
the support.
Just there, so you've got an offset to start with. This is one of the drives, as you can see, what John mentioned. So the opposite end of this, there's a downwards point as well, and an upwards point. So in the mid-stroke of your lever, it doesn't act. It only acts at the very end of each, so very normal and very reverse of each movement of the lever, that it acts upon the actual tappet itself. When you have long tappets, of course, because you can have long frames, so in this case, countersunk, tapped and riveted together. And this has got screws in to extend that bar out there. So yes, it is a very simple frame, and it's not really using much of the rest of it at all.
No.
Contact boxes.
Yeah, that's a contact and lock.
Contact and lever lock.
On each of the section signals. So you've got to take a token out.
Yes, to
in order
release.
to release that lock. And these are just Western contact boxes to operate the distance signal indicators.
Yes.
Those signals aren't actually there. There's your LCC.
Yes.
Prove the lock's normal. And then you see how it drives in the tappet there.
Oh yes. So it's got the notch in the tappet here. This tappet's coming down. The notch is just dropped into there.
Yeah, it's not
Out
going
at
to
the
work
moment,
for
isn't
me.
it?
Oh, he's got it pulled
Pulled out at the
because
moment.
we can't operate the token.
Yes, yeah.
We've actually got it
Strapped out.
strapped out.
Yeah. Very simple lock.
Yes, still all over the all Western frames have still got them. Go ahead.
So that's the points in the FPL there. So that FPL now has to be locked to get the points back across.